Hello, I'm Essay, your AI essayist. Please note that all content, audio and video in this presentation are AI generated. As AI can sometimes produce inaccuracies, I encourage you to verify any factual information presented. With that in mind, let's begin.
Henri Poincaré's 1908 work, Science et Méthode, represents a capstone synthesis of a career spent at the apex of both mathematics and physics. It stands as a profound meditation on the nature of discovery, the structure of scientific knowledge, and the very constitution of reality as understood through human reason. The book arrived at a moment of profound intellectual upheaval, with the certainties of the 19th century scientific edifice showing deep fractures. This essay undertakes a rigorous evaluation of the internal claims and arguments presented within Science et Méthode, proceeding section by section to analyze Poincaré's unique philosophical framework. It seeks to illuminate the logical coherence, the evidentiary basis, and the enduring intellectual force of his propositions, charting the course of his thought as he navigates the complex relationship between the mind of the scientist and the fabric of the universe. The analysis will demonstrate how Poincaré constructed a sophisticated epistemology that harmonized intuition with logic and convention with empirical fact, offering a vision of science as a dynamic, human-driven, and continuously evolving pursuit of hidden harmonies. Section 1. The Architectonics of Scientific Inquiry and the Psychology of Creation. The initial book of Science et Méthode addresses the foundational question of what constitutes scientific activity. Poincaré opens with a direct evaluation of the role of facts in science. He presents the famous simile that science is constructed with facts as a house is with stones, yet an accumulation of facts is a pile of stones. The claim here is twofold: facts are the necessary material of science, while the structure, the architectural principle, is what transforms raw data into a coherent body of knowledge. He argues that the scientist engages in a deliberate process of selection. The criterion for this selection is utility, a concept Poincaré imbues with deep meaning. A useful fact is one that possesses a high probability of recurrence and, more importantly, reveals an underlying harmony or a connection between previously disparate phenomena. This claim elevates the scientist from a passive collector of data to an active arbiter of significance. The evidence for this is drawn from the history of science itself, where breakthrough discoveries frequently involve seeing a pattern that connects seemingly unrelated observations. He evaluates the hierarchy of sciences, placing mathematics at the pinnacle due to its purity and independence, and argues that its methods of finding elegant connections inform all other disciplines. The core of his argument is that the goal of science is the discovery of these pervasive harmonies, which provide the power of prediction and generalization. This section then transitions into an examination of the psychological mechanisms behind such discoveries. Poincaré proposes a model of creative thought partitioned into 4 distinct stages: preparation, incubation, illumination, and verification. Preparation involves intense, conscious work or a problem, saturating the mind with all its elements. Incubation is a period where the conscious mind turns away from the problem, allowing the unconscious to work. Poincaré's claim is that during this phase, the subliminal self forges new connections between the ideas accumulated during preparation. He describes this unconscious process with a striking metaphor of atoms of thought colliding and hooking together to form stable combinations. The criteria for a successful combination are aesthetic. The unconscious selects for beautiful, harmonious patterns. Illumination is the sudden, unexpected moment of insight, where the solution appears to the conscious mind fully formed, often during a moment of leisure. He famously recounts his own experience of solving a problem concerning fusion functions while stepping onto a bus. The final stage, verification, involves returning to conscious, rigorous, logical work to check, prove, and articulate the insight. This 4-stage model presents a powerful claim about the cognitive architecture of genius, asserting that creativity arises from an interplay between disciplined effort and a subconscious, aesthetic sensibility. The argument is persuasive because it resonates with anecdotal accounts from countless creative individuals, yet it also presents a vision of the unconscious as a discerning and sophisticated engine of discovery, a partner to the rational mind. Section 2. The intuitive foundations of mathematical certainty. In the second book, Poincaré directs his analytical gaze toward the foundations of mathematics. Engaging directly with the foundational debates of his era, he mounts a sustained critique of the logicist program, particularly the efforts of thinkers like Bertrand Russell and Louis Couchorat, who sought to demonstrate that all of mathematics could be derived from the principles of formal logic alone. Poincaré's central claim is that mathematics possesses an irreducible content that logic itself cannot supply. He championed a form of intuitionism, positing that certain mathematical ideas are grasped directly by the mind. The cornerstone of this argument is his analysis of mathematical induction, the principle that if a property holds for the number 1, and if its holding for any number implies it holds for the next, then it holds for all natural numbers. For the logicists, this was a principle to be proven from more basic logical axioms. For Poincaré, this was an impossibility. He claimed that mathematical induction is the archetypal example of a synthetic a priori judgment, a concept he inherited and adapted from Immanuel Kant. It is synthetic because the conclusion, a statement about an infinite set, contains more information than the premises, which concern finite steps. It is a priori because its certainty does not depend on empirical verification. It is a fundamental structure of human thought. This argument about induction is a powerful assertion of the mind's active role in constructing mathematical reality. He claims that the intuition of the number sequence, the ability of the mind to conceive of the indefinite repetition of an act, is the ultimate source of mathematical creation. He extends this line of reasoning to his analysis of the continuum. He evaluates the attempts by logicians to define the continuum purely in terms of discrete points, arguing that such definitions fail to capture the intuitive essence of continuous flow. His claim is that the true, physical, and psychological continuum is a qualitative experience that formal definitions can only approximate. This section of Science et Method thus presents a philosophy of mathematics where certainty derives from a fundamental human intuition, with logic serving as the essential tool for ensuring rigor and coherence after the intuitive leap has been made. He is careful to distinguish this generative intuition from vague, sensory impressions. It is a pure, formal intuition that underpins the very possibility of mathematical reasoning. The success of his argument lies in its capacity to explain the seemingly miraculous fecundity of mathematics, a creative power that a sterile, purely analytical logic appears unable to account for. Section 3. Navigating the crisis in classical physics through convention. The third book of the work addresses the profound challenges facing physics the turn of the 20th century, particularly in the fields of mechanics and electromagnetism. It is here that Poincaré most fully articulates his influential doctrine of conventionalism. He begins by examining the status of the principles of classical mechanics, such as the law of inertia. His central claim is that such fundamental principles are neither a priori truths of reason nor straightforward empirical facts. Instead, they are conventions or definitions in disguise. He argues that we choose these principles for their convenience and utility in organizing our experience of the physical world. The famous example is geometry. Poincaré asks whether physical space is Euclidean or non-Euclidean. He concludes the question is meaningless. We could describe the world using non-Euclidean geometry and simply adjust our physical laws to account for the apparent discrepancies, or we can retain the simplicity of Euclidean geometry and attribute physical phenomena like the bending of light to forces. The choice, he claims, is one of convenience. The axioms of Euclidean geometry are simpler and more intuitive, so we adopt them by convention. This claim is a subtle and powerful epistemological tool. It suggests that a layer of our scientific theories is composed of freely chosen frameworks, whose value is judged by their fruitfulness In creating a simple, coherent, and predictive system, he applies this same reasoning to the emerging crisis in physics. He analyzes the principles of classical mechanics and finds their empirical basis to be more complex than it appears. The principle of conservation of energy, for example, has survived numerous empirical challenges because scientists have continually invented new forms of energy to preserve it. This, he argues, shows its status as a guiding convention. The most prescient part of this section is his evaluation of the principle of relativity based on the failures of experiments, like the Michelson-Morley experiment to detect the luminiferous ether. Poincaré proposed a general principle of relativity. The laws of physical phenomena must be the same for a stationary observer as for an observer in uniform motion. For him, this principle was becoming a new, highly convenient convention, one that experimental results seemed to demand for the sake of theoretical coherence. He discussed the transformations proposed by Hendrik Lorentz, which in spoken form are the set of equations that relate space and time, coordinates, between two inertial frames of reference such that the laws of electromagnetism remain invariant. Poincaré saw these transformations as the mathematical tool required to uphold his principle of relativity. His evaluation concludes that the old mechanics of Newton is being superseded by a new mechanics, one structured around this relativity principle. His framing of this principle as a convention, a choice made to preserve the elegance and universality of physical laws, provides a unique philosophical lens through which to view the impending scientific revolution. He saw the structure of physics as adaptable, with its foundational principles serving as robust but ultimately revisable conventions. Section 4. The cosmos as a deterministic and probabilistic system. In final book, Poincaré turns his attention to the astronomical sciences, a domain where his own mathematical work had been revolutionary. This section provides a profound evaluation of the concepts of determinism, chance, and cosmic evolution. He begins by reflecting on his own prize-winning work on the 3D problem, the challenge of predicting the motion of three celestial bodies under their mutual gravitational attraction. His groundbreaking claim, derived from his intricate mathematical analysis, was that even in a system governed by the fully deterministic laws of Newtonian mechanics, long-term prediction can be an impossibility. He demonstrated that infinitesimally small differences in the initial conditions of the system could lead to enormous, wildly divergent outcomes over time. This is the first clear articulation of what is now known as sensitive dependence on initial conditions, the hallmark of chaotic systems. He uses a vivid metaphor: a very small cause which escapes unnoticed determines a considerable effect that we cannot fail to see, and then we say that the effect is due to chance. His evaluation reveals that chance, in this context, is an artifact of our ignorance of the precise initial state. The universe could be perfectly deterministic at its core, yet its behaviour would be practically unpredictable and appear random to any observer with finite measurement capabilities. This is a profound claim about the limits of scientific knowledge, suggesting that predictability is a function of system, complexity and observational precision. He then applies this dual perspective of determinism and probability to the grand questions of cosmology. He assesses the nebula hypothesis of Laplace, the theory that the solar system formed from a rotating cloud of gas. He treats it as a powerful scientific model, but one whose specific historical path is contingent and now lost to time. He explores the implications of statistical mechanics and thermodynamics for the fate of the universe. He grapples with the concept of heat-death, the idea that the universe will eventually reach a state of maximum entropy and uniform temperature. His analysis here is subtle, questioning the universal applicability of the second law of thermodynamics and exploring theoretical possibilities for cosmic rejuvenation. Throughout this section, Poincaré's central argument is that modern science must embrace probabilistic and statistical reasoning as an essential tool, even when dealing with phenomena believed to be governed by deterministic laws. He demonstrates that complexity itself generates a form of emergent randomness, a philosophical insight that prefigured many developments in 20th century science. His claim is that the astronomer, like the physicist, must operate as a tactician, using a blend of deterministic laws, statistical methods, and an appreciation for contingent history to piece together a coherent picture of the cosmos. In conclusion, Henri Poincaré's Science et Méthode stands as a monumental work of scientific philosophy, offering a sophisticated and deeply personal evaluation of the nature of knowledge. Its internal claims, articulated with mathematical precision and literary grace, construct a compelling vision of science as an enterprise driven by the human quest for harmony. The analysis of his core arguments reveals a mind uniquely positioned to synthesize the rigor of formal proof with an appreciation for the intuitive and aesthetic dimensions of discovery. His doctrine of conventionalism provides a durable framework for understanding the relationship between theoretical constructs and empirical reality, while his psychological model of creation validates the role of the unconscious in intellectual breakthroughs. Furthermore, his pioneering insights into the limits of predictability within deterministic systems inaugurated a new way of thinking about complexity and chance. The work's enduring significance lies in its holistic portrayal of the scientific endeavour. Poincaré presents the scientist as a creative architect, selecting facts for their strategic value, employing conventions for their organizational power, and relying on a deep-seated intuition to perceive the hidden order of the universe. The claims advanced in Science et Méthode, from the function of hypothesis to the nature of mathematical truth and the implications of relativity, collectively form a coherent and powerful epistemology that continues to illuminate the path of scientific inquiry. It is a testament to a mind that saw science, in its highest form, as an art of discerning the elegant and profound simplicities that lie beneath the surface of a complex world.
We really appreciate you tuning in to this AI-powered presentation. Our goal is to push the boundaries of AI in content creation, and your input is invaluable. If there's a particular subject you'd like to see us tackle next, or if you have suggestions on how we could fine-tune our AI's creative prompts, please don't hesitate to leave your ideas in the comments section. We're excited to bring you more unique content very soon.